What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. Now you guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely gonna want to check this one out. So we're now seeing another classic case of that hunter turned hunted in regards to the corrupt New York Attorney General Letitia James, as she is now facing a grand jury investigation and indictment for that $300 million witch hunt civil fraud case against President Donald Trump, guys. And I'm excited to get into this one, so we're now straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Some breaking news sources are telling us that New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office are under investigation by the Department of Justice in relation to her case against President Trump. Justice correspondent David Spunt is in Washington. What do you know, David?
Well, hi, Dana. Two well-placed sources familiar with the probe tell Fox News that New York Attorney General Letitia James and her office is under investigation by the DOJ here in Washington. We're told that Attorney General Pam Bondi signed off on the probe. Subpoenas were sent to James's office, and there is a grand jury investigation underway in the New York State capital of Albany. The specific investigation, my colleague Jake Gibson, Ashley Oliver, and myself are being told involves deprivation of rights, which in plain language means someone in a position of legal authority violating someone else's constitutional or legal rights. Those sources tell Fox News the DOJ is going after James because she took then former President Donald Trump to court, quote, simply because she didn't like him and campaigned on getting him. DOJ, led by Bondi, believes she violated his First Amendment rights dealing with free speech. James has said before she believed Trump inflated his net worth to get good deals on loans from lenders and other financial benefits. Ms. James won in a court judgment of over $450 million against the Trump organization. Trump is appealing, and it's pending. The entire scope of the grand jury probe in Albany, Dana, is unclear. Grand juries are secretive, but we've learned from these well-placed sources it stems from a recent strike force set up inside the Justice Department to investigate an alleged plot to tie Trump to Russia in 2016. Sources say that strike force has expanded to other topics. Now, to recap, the Justice Department has initiated grand jury proceedings in Albany, New York, against the Empire State Attorney General Letitia James. But remember, this is important. A grand jury simply decides if there's enough evidence to indict.
Wow, talk about a sweet treat for all the folks that had to sit through those gruesome witch hunt cases against President Donald Trump. A bombshell Friday evening headline coming, the investigation, a grand jury investigation into the corruption of a New York Attorney General Letitia James. We all know that grand jury is going to find ample evidence that will warrant an indictment. We just have to look back on the clips that we've seen of Letitia James running on the name of getting Donald Trump, taking him down by any means possible. You cannot do that. And now we have dishonest Jake Tapper even calling her out. I'm not sure how genuine it is, but it's pretty funny to see that he's even calling out the corruption, the crimes of Tish James.
I look at the way I covered, the president, some of the trials of the president, I thought were, I think it is problematic when people run for prosecutor and promise to go after a specific politician. And both Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, and Alvin Bragg, the District Attorney of New York, both of them did that. And that, to me, is problematic because you're not saying this is the offense and we need to bring justice to this perpetrator. You're saying, I'm going to go after him. And I think that there was a degree to which that was tolerated by the media writ large. I mean, I did note it at the time, but and when Trump does the same thing, and he's the president, so it's also a different degree, people perceive it as more problematic.
Pretty funny to see even a dishonest CNN host, Jake Tapper, coming after Tish James, saying what she done was simply wrong. We got a breaking news headline being tweeted out from our friend Lives of TikTok saying Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, is now under investigation in connection with her civil fraud case against President Trump that resulted in a $300 million penalty. The investigation will be looking into whether James caused the deprivation of legal rights under the color of the law through its civil suits against Trump and his businesses, which we know this is going to be open and shut case. I mean, all the evidence is very clear. It's all apparent. Go ahead and indict this woman. We've been waiting for this for some time, and the tables are finally turning. Oh, but wait, guys, this is not the end of Tish James's trouble, but just the beginning. We also have a breaking news headline of the Letitia James Act, the Letitia Act bill. This was proposed by Senator Cornyn that also lines up Tish James for further prosecution of her mortgage and insurance fraud allegations. I want you guys to take a quick look at this one.
A group of Republican senators led by Texas's John Cornyn introduced the law enforcement tools to interdict troubling investments in a Bodes Act. Now, what is that? That's the Letitia Act. And this bill, the Letitia Act, holds public officials who commit bank, tax, loan, or mortgage fraud accountable. In a statement, John Cornyn said that this legislation would empower President Trump to hold crooked politicians like New York's Letitia James accountable for defrauding their constituents, violating their oath of office, and breaking the law. And I'm proud to lead my Republican colleagues in introducing this. Now, Reagan, one of your colleagues at the Daily Caller actually went to Letitia James's house in Virginia and was basically harassed off of the lawn of this person. Do you think Letitia James would support this law?
I don't know if Letitia James would support this law, but my colleague who did go to these properties, it was incredibly sketchy, and I would encourage everyone on Newsmax to go to the Daily Caller website and watch these videos, because the videos in of themselves seem to be incriminating. You see how suspicious and awkward, and these people, before my colleagues even got to the door, started screaming, "We don't know her, we're not related to her." It's like they knew what was happening. I love that we got this topic, and as the producer was telling us in my ear, I was like, this is going to be an awesome question to ask President Trump about. And I would love to ask him if he supports this legislation, because I know he's probably going to have an incredible answer. I asked him last week about Hawley's bill on stock trading within Congress, and he called for Nancy Pelosi to be investigated. So, you know, everything's on the table for how he could respond to this piece of legislation as well.
And we covered that investigation by one of your colleagues the day that they did this, but can you remind our viewers what happened? In essence, Letitia James, who last I checked represents New York as their Attorney General, had declared her primary residence to be in Virginia or something like that to get a tax deduction, because like most smart New Yorkers, she wants to have nothing to do with the state.
You're correct. And so what my colleagues did was they went to those Virginia properties to see if Letitia James lived there, or if people who knew Letitia James lived there, if they could speak and talk about why they were living in those properties. And they claimed to have no relation, didn't know what these properties were about or what the investigation was about, which I think right there kind of proves.
And wasn't Adam Schiff in the middle of this?
Yes.
Too?
Yeah.
And you know what they say, folks, when it rains, it pours, and it is surely pouring down on that corrupt New York Attorney General Tish James, as we now have the senator of the great state of Texas, John Cornyn, introducing the Letitia Act, and this act will empower the President of the United States, Attorney General Pam Bondi, to hold corrupt public officials like Tish James accountable for committing bank fraud, tax fraud, loan or mortgage fraud. In America, no one is above the law. Wow, guys, you just when we thought Tish James got off the hook and she had ran for the hills, nope, we're bringing her right back. A big old Uno reverse card, if you will. And I just want to give you guys a quick reminder of the individual that this bill was named after and for.
This is New York State Attorney General Letitia James. This week, I co-led a coalition of 20 other attorneys general across the country in challenging unlawful changes to federal benefits that millions of people in our country have relied upon. On July 10th, 4 federal agencies announced a coordinated effort that will gut life-saving health, education, and social service programs for low-income families. This comes after the administration earlier this month issued new directives barring many safety net programs from serving all United States residents regardless of immigration status. In their cruel efforts to deny benefits to some, they jeopardize core services for all. They're targeting programs like Head Start, Title X family planning, adult education, food banks, domestic violence prevention, mental health treatment, and community health centers. Our coalition asked the court to halt these reckless actions and act quickly to prevent the collapse of some of the nation's most vital public programs that millions of individuals rely upon and represent truly compassionate care as only this nation knows.
Okay, so this is Tish James right here fighting for all the wrong causes. We just heard her trying to advocate, push it off to say that this is low-income families, that Trump is cutting off these government assistance programs, but then saying that it's these folks that were undocumented that were actually being cut off. I mean, she has made herself in the spotlight. She's put herself out there in the spotlight so many times. I mean, she's had ample opportunity to just run off into the hills. No one hear another word from her. Look at what Alvin Bragg has done. We haven't heard him kicking up any dust since his witch hunt case against President Trump got kicked out. He's been very quiet, laying low. She just doesn't know the definition of laying low. She is really serious. I mean, it's a personal vendetta that she has against President Trump. She campaigned on it. She ran on taking him down, and that's exactly what she's tried to do. Tried to stop him every step of the way. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder of the Attorney General that we're talking about. This lady has many issues when it comes to serving in that seat, and her corruption isn't even the half of it. Of course, we got folks weighing in on these breaking news headlines. I mean, Letitia James Act, the bill proposed by Senator John Cornyn, and then we have the grand jury investigation and possible indictment. We got Caroline here on X saying, finally, some justice. Letitia James has been gunning for Trump with that shady $300 million fraud case, and now the DOJ is turning the tables on her. Karma's hitting hard. Oh my goodness. Revenge is a dish best served cold. And Letitia James again, and I wouldn't even call this revenge. I mean, this is justice right here. Caroline put it right. We also have our friend Patrick Wills here on X weighing in saying, boom, karma has accountability coming. Lawyer up, you mortgage fraudster. Talk about projection. LOL. DOJ opens a grand jury investigation into Letitia James tied to the Trump civil fraud case. And I mean, this is karma for sure. She asked for this. This is literally what she wanted. She was trying to come after Trump, gunning for this guy, saying that he was corrupt, he was a career criminal. Come to find out, it was all of her. I mean, look at what she's been doing in the shadows. She thought it was never going to come to light, but we see that she's finally being held accountable. We got C3 here on X tweeting out saying lawfare has consequences. Jack Smith failed and Trump is in the White House. Fonnie Willis failed and Trump is in the White House. Alvin Bragg failed and Trump is in the White House. Letitia James failed and Trump is in the White House. Now they need to pay for their lawfare, and it seems like it's coming for all of them. We just seen Jack Smith in the headlines earlier this week. We seen Letitia James in the headlines earlier this week. Fonnie Willis's whole position as district attorney over there in Fulton County, Georgia, is at risk. The only person that I haven't really seen in the spotlight is Alvin Bragg. He did the smart thing and he ran for the hills. Jack Smith ran for the hills as well, but we pulled him back very quickly. The way that he came after, he was like that bully of a special prosecutor trying to bull rush his way through prosecuting President Trump, running over and trying to leapfrog courts and whatnot. These guys all deserved it. Then I found an article here from Fox News that kind of dives a little bit deeper into this grand jury investigation into Letitia James tied to the Trump civil fraud case. Let's check it out. You know, we're deeply seated in research over here. We got to get to the bottom of it and see what's to come next. It says the Department of Justice convened a grand jury to investigate New York Attorney General Letitia James, marking an escalation in President Donald Trump's fight with the New York's top prosecutor. The investigation is being run out of Albany and focused on possible deprivation of rights allegations. The investigation, which came at the direction of Attorney General Pam Bondi, is in an early stage. But Fox News had just learned that Letitia James' office received subpoenas for documents earlier this week, including information related to her civil fraud case against President Trump. James, a Democrat who was elected Attorney General in 2018, has long been a target of Trump, and I think they said that backwards. Actually, she's been targeting Trump since before 2018. She got in that seat. She's been gunning for Trump for quite some time now. Fox News, you got to get your wording correctly. And then James successfully brought civil charges against him for business fraud in 2022 and has had an instrumental role in challenging his current administration's executive actions in court. We've seen the mountains of lawsuits that she's brought against the Trump administration in order to try to block his agenda. So like I said, she hasn't been able to stay quiet or lay low. She's been all in the spotlight. She's been asking for this. Then it continues on saying a spokesperson for James suggests that the latest action by the DOJ was a quote-unquote weaponization of its prosecutorial power. Oh my goodness. Boo-hoo. Cry me a river. If anyone was weaponizing anything, it was Tish James, that corrupt New York Attorney General. They spoke out saying any weaponization of the justice system should disturb every American. We stand strongly behind our successful litigation against the Trump Organization and the National Rifle Association, and we will continue to stand up for New Yorkers' rights. Okay, I'm not sure how this is standing up for New Yorkers at all. This just seems like a complete and total witch hunt against President Donald Trump, and I mean, it's all in black and white. We can see that. The grand jury is going to see that. Then continue on saying a DOJ spokesperson declined to comment on the grand jury investigation. How they don't want to talk. James began investigating the Trump Organization soon after she took office, eventually securing a $450 million judgment against the then former president and some of Trump's company's executives, including two of his sons. A New York judge found that Trump and his business partners grossly overstated Trump's wealth to obtain favorable loans and other financial benefits. I don't know, who does this sound like? This is almost similar to what? Oh, Tish James, the one who actually committed mortgage fraud, insurance fraud, my bad. Trump is appealing the decision. They're all going to get tossed out. We can definitely see that coming. James said at the time that the financial fraud was not a victimless crime. If an average New Yorker went into a bank and submitted false documents, the government would throw the book at them. And the same should be true for former presidents. And this is all coming from James out of her mouth. So if she feels like these rules are applicable for President Donald Trump, then guess what? These rules should be applicable for her too, unless she feels like there's rules for thee and not for me. But we all know how James believes that she's above the law, the only one. Also continues on saying James also has been a leading figure in bringing litigation challenging the second Trump administration's executive actions. James and other Democratic attorney generals have sued to fight spending freezes on federally funded social programs, mass firing of federal employees, and restrictions on transgender care for minors, among other matters. Convening a grand jury is the first step in an investigation that could potentially lead to an indictment. And we all know this investigation is going to be pretty quick. It's cut and dry. We see that all the evidence is clearly laid out. She should be indicted. This was a definitely deprivation of rights. The panel examines evidence, including documents and witness interviews, and determines if probable cause exists to bring up charges against a person. The process can take weeks or longer, and it is historically much easier for a grand jury to secure an indictment than it is to obtain a subsequent conviction. News of the investigation comes as tensions have continued to build between Trump and James. In April, the Trump Federal Housing Finance Agency asked Bondi to investigate James over mortgage fraud, and the DOJ opened a separate investigation into that matter. James received subpoenas from a grand jury as a part of the inquiry. Fox News confirmed on Friday that pardon attorney Ed Martin, who is also leading the weaponization task force, is heading up the mortgage fraud investigation into James, as well as leading a similar investigation into Senator Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff. James's mortgage fraud case is based in Virginia and Schiff's is in Maryland. James has denied the mortgage-related allegations. Amid the mortgage inquiry, Trump called James a wacky crook, quote unquote, on Truth Social, saying that Letitia James, a totally corrupt politician, should resign from her position as a New York State Attorney General immediately. So we're seeing there is a lot of moving parts. Not only are we seeing a grand jury investigation into Letitia James, now we're seeing that there is a Letitia James Act, a bill being proposed by a senator from Texas that could make it a little bit easier for her to be prosecuted for her mortgage fraud crimes. Maybe we'll finally see that apology coming from old Tish James. I thought this was appropriate time to bring up that old clip. Just give it a look.
Yes, my question is for Tish James. Will you apologize to President Trump for wasting millions of dollars and the state of New York for a witch trial? And how does it feel to know that you will be in prison for mortgage fraud?
Thank you for coming. We want to thank him for coming. We respect all opinions. Everybody knows those allegations are baseless. They're discredited. And so we want to thank him. Our next speaker.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness. Talk about a breaking news bombshell for this Friday evening. A sweet treat, if you will. Tish James is not going to be able to wiggle her way out of this one. We're seeing a grand jury investigation opening up into her crimes, her corruption, the way that she tried to come after weaponizing her political seat against President Donald Trump. She directly tried to interfere with the 2024 election, and it is finally her time to pay. And then the cherry on top being that bill proposed, the Letitia James Act, enabling folks to come after her and make it a little easier to prosecute her for her mortgage fraud crimes. I can't wait to see where this one progresses to. We're going to be able to cover every single update right here with your boy RetroStef. You know, we've been following this story from the beginning all the way up to now. And we've seen the way I was almost, appalled with the way that Letitia James was allowed to, it looked like, get away with weaponizing her office, her seat as Attorney General against President Donald Trump in order to stop him getting that seat of the White House. But she failed miserably, and now we're seeing the tables are turned, the whole dynamic shifting, and now she's becoming the hunted, guys. But definitely hop in that comment section. Comments are open. I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one.